UFC Fight Night, Moicano versus Duncan, is happening this Saturday, April 4th, 2026. And this is a pretty bad card. I mean, Moicano versus Duncan, it's a good fight in the main event. I believe Moicano's on a 2-fight losing streak, and Chris Duncan is on the come up. He's 15-2. He's 6-1 in the UFC. He's on a 4-fight winning streak. Won his last 4. Before that, losing to Manuel Torres, and then before that, winning his 2 UFC fights after winning the Contender Series against Charlie Campbell. This should be a good fight. Moicano versus Duncan should be a good fight. A main event, though, a 5-round main event between Chris Duncan, who I don't believe is even ranked, and number 9, Moicano, who's on a 2-fight losing streak. He lost his last fight against Beneil Dariush, who got brutally slimed out in his last fight by BSD, who, I mean, granted, Moicano dominated BSD, so that's kind of a funny little triangle. But Moicano and Duncan should not be in a main event. Co-main event, Verna Jandiroba, that's how I say her name, versus Tabitha Ricci. Okay, let's move on. Yakyaev versus Ribeiro. Ribeiro's going to die in that fight. And then you have, this is a good one now. This is one of the sleeper fights on this card. You got Rafael Estevam versus Ethan Ewing. In Ewing's last fight, he fought Wellmaker, who Wellmaker was knocking out Cameron Simon and Chris Moutinho, but he ran into Ethan Ewing. He lost at MSG last November, and now Ewing is fighting Rafael Estevam, who is 14-0. He's 29 years old. He is 3-0 in the UFC, beating Felipe Bunes, Jesus Aguilar, and Charles Johnson. But the thing is, in 2 of those fights, Estevam missed weight. And so, is he gonna make weight this weekend? We'll see against Ewing. Ewing is very good. He looked very, very good in that Wellmaker fight. But hey, this fight is gonna be hard for him. Estevam is no bum here in this fight, and so that should be a good fight. Then we have another fun little one, is Tommy McMillan versus Manolo Zucchini. Zucchini came into the UFC and he lost to Morgan Charrier. This was in 2023. Goodness, that was a long time ago. He lost via body kick to Morgan Charrier, but he's fighting Tommy McMillan, and if you know anything, Tommy McMillan is Sean O'Malley and Tim Welch's new guy that they got coming up, and he's in the UFC. He had that crazy fight on the Contender Series where he won by decision. It was a crazy back and forth fight, and he's making his actual UFC debut this Saturday. Should be a fun fight. And then we have Robert Ruchula versus Jose Delano. Now, Jose Delano is coming into the UFC from LFA. Ruchula has a lot of experience in KSW. He came into the UFC. He lost his debut against William Gomez. But before that, I mean, he's 8-1 in KSW. He lost to Parnas, who I know Parnas is a good fighter over there in KSW. And I believe Parnas is fighting on the Netflix card, which is cool. But should be a good fight. I mean, other than that, Alessandro Costa's on the card. Costa's a fun fighter. We got Lando Vernada versus Darius Flowers. Darius Flowers has the most Disney name I think I've ever heard in my life. Darius Flowers versus Lando Vernada. Lando Vernada's a really fun fighter. Always in fun fights. Bakoev is on this card. Azamat Bakoev versus Tresean Gore. That should be a fun fight. Bakoev losing his last fight to Yusri Belgarui. That was a fun fight. He got TKO'd, unfortunately. But before that, Bakoev was looking like a real hot. I mean, he still is a real hot prospect. He's only 30 years old. He's a very funny guy as well. He's active on Twitter. And then you got Trayshawn Gore, who had a very, very fun fight in his last fight against, actually 2 fights ago. Actually, in his last fight, he missed weight against Rodolfo Vieira, and he still lost by decision. And then before that, he had the really fun fight against Marco Tulio, which he lost by KO in the second round. I mean, other than that, there's not much going on this card. I mean, you got the Bacoa fight, you got Bacoa Gore, you got Lando Venata, should be a fun fight. You got Tommy McMillan, Ewing versus Estevam. I mean, and then the main event. So like 5 fights that I'm looking out for. But how these cards usually play out is they're not very good, but they end up over delivering. And so this card honestly sucks, but it's these sleepers that end up being absolutely insane. Knockouts left and right. But there's also those cards that they look bad and they end up being bad. And so we'll see. But I mean, fights are on a Saturday night. I'm happy. I'm not hard to please, but it's getting difficult. Even I'm starting to be disappointed with the product that the UFC is putting out. But fights on Saturday night. I'm a happy man. And so we'll see how these play out. In the main event, I think I got Moicano. I think his experience, he's probably the better grappler. And Chris Duncan's only loss in the UFC is by rear naked choke to Manuel Torres. And so I don't think he'll be able to put up much of a fight to Moicano's grappling. But we'll see. Chris Duncan he trains at a really good team. He trains at ATT with all those guys like Gamrot and like Dustin Poirier and those guys like that. And so we'll see. But should be a fun night.